Hi, this is Ed Kyle with Michael Hood. Today on our program, we're taking hacks with Cesar Garcia. Cesar is one of the hidden gems of South Jersey when it comes to pitching and arm care. Our New Jersey baseball pitchers have been working with Cesar for a few years now and have all seen great results. Cesar, welcome to the program. Would you get us going today by sharing some of your background?
Thank you guys very much for having me. First off, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Ed. Appreciate that. I want to say hello to the NJB family. I know you guys are missing baseball as well as I am, and your hard work will not go to waste. I promise you. Hopefully, we'll get this going pretty soon. First off, my name is Cesar Garcia. I train out of Endurance Sports Academy. I'm based out of South Jersey. I work with multiple professional baseball players and college baseball players. I work with a couple MLB pitchers. I specialize in arm care and pitching, mental preparation, physical preparation.
Don't simplify it, dude. Don't simplify it. There's a lot of training and studying and hard work behind that. And we know that for a fact at NJB, and we certainly appreciate it. Cesar, as we spoke before, and also for me, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
We know what you do. I don't think enough people out there know what you do, even though there are a lot of people that do follow you and come to you in different ways for advice, help, and things like that. But, on the program, as we mentioned early on with you before we got on the show, the format that we have here, we try to make the information informative because we are inviting kids and families that might be in the process of trying to become a college prospect. So, so with that being said, I think the best way for us to utilize your time and for them to get something out of it, I'm going to break down some of this stuff almost to its simplest form, and then you can build it up to whatever level you want in your answers, if that works for you.
Yes, sir.
So first off, let's take it right back. We're talking about pitchers right now, and if you want to mix it over to other positions, because obviously all baseball players need their arms.
Right.
So let's take it right back to, we're at a game. I'm on the mound, and I'm getting ready to walk out on the field, warm up. I know it's important to everybody. I know it's important to you. What would you say about that portion of it? What advice would you give to do that properly and maybe even timing wise? How much time before a game start or anything like that?
All right, now, guys, warm up. When you and I played, we used to throw to warm up, and today's philosophy is you warm up to throw. That's the way I tell these guys. The biggest thing is knowing your body and know what you have to do to get yourself going. Some guys can grab a baseball, throw 10 times and go, but what I recommend is a proper warm-up that goes through your range of motion with a little bit of resistance so that it primes the muscles that we're going to use, right? I don't want my rotator cuff turning on the first time I throw a baseball. I want to prepare my rotator cuff to throw the baseball. My flexor pronator bundle, which is a group of muscles in your forearm that protects your UCL. UCL is the Tommy John ligament that we do not want any stress on. We want to prime those muscles so that when they're going in the fourth or fifth inning, whether you're a catcher or a shortstop, they're making a bunch of throws, that those muscles get fatigued, and now your UCL has to stabilize the joint, which is your elbow. So what we do is, I'm a big fan of using bands, whether it be J bands or regular resistant bands with handles, just to prime those muscles. And again, we're not going through a full workout because we have a full workload ahead of us called the game. So what I like to do is maybe 1 or 2 sets of 10 of different rotator cuff external rotation exercises. And I do external rotation because that warms up your decelerators. Your decelerators are the muscles that help your arm stabilize and slow down as you release the object of the baseball that you're going to be throwing, the object, which is the baseball that you're going to be throwing. So I recommend you prime those muscles before you throw a baseball. Range of motion work, you go through different levels of range of motion, whether it's at the 90-90 position or down here, starting up that rotator cuff iron with a little bit of resistance. And again, it gets blood flow and it gets body awareness to those muscles and let the nervous system know, okay, these muscles have to turn on because they're going to work today, as opposed to throwing a baseball and I'm like, oh, we got to go to work. By then, it's sometimes it's too late. Some guys can get away with it. Obviously some guys are just naturally stronger. Say if you're a wrestler, you have those connective tissue that's a lot stronger than the average Joe. But for the most part, I recommend a really good warm-up routine, 10 to 15 minutes before you throw the baseball, and understand your workload as well. Relievers are going to warm up different, but the one consistency is the resistance band before to prime the muscles. If you don't have resistant bands, if you have to use a plyo two-pound ball with the upward toss, again, in reverse, we're not going forward. We don't need to go forward because we're going to be throwing the baseball forward a long time. So we go in reverse to turn on the decelerators, whether you're tossing it to a partner, you're tossing it against the wall, or just up in the air, catching it and bringing it down. I recommend that just to, once again, prime the decelerators, because the stronger they get, the more you'll be able to accelerate. Just like the race car with bad brakes. You're not going to go fast if you have bad brakes. And that's how your body works, and that's how your arm works. So that's one of the things, the major thing I do for pitchers and position players. If the time allows for the whole team to do it, I think it's an excellent thing, because as well as I do, Mike, as you go on in baseball, job security is availability, right? If you're not available to throw, pretty soon you will not have a job, because next guy up. And if you're not available because you throw one inning and you need 3 days rest, as opposed to preparing yourself for the workload, and then you can throw 5 innings and go on 4 days rest to be available, or you can throw 2 innings and go on a day's rest if you're available. So and you become available, you have that muscular endurance so you can recover better. So that's why I recommend the resistance, with resistance, range of motion before you throw as part of your warm-up.
That's great stuff. I've heard a lot of this stuff from you before. Obviously, we've developed a good relationship together, and but it never gets old, dude. I mean, to hear these types of things that I know the majority of people, if they're being honest out there, have not heard anything quite like this and presented in the manner in which you present it. And it's just so important. Arm care is just, if it's not on the top of every coach, instructor, whatever someone wants to call themselves, then they need to go do something else, because they're going to hurt somebody. And this is just great information. So let's move on to step 2, all right? Because now maybe more geared towards a position player. I know we try to stress to our kids the importance of just playing catch. Just don't go out there and talk about last night's, MTV special or whatever. Go out there with a purpose. And again, I know how important that is to you. Can you just speak on that subject of just plain old catch?
Yeah, catch play is very important, because unlike a hitter, you can't take 100 swings in the morning, then 100 swings at night. If you're a throwing athlete and you're throwing with your arm, you only have so many throws in a day before you need 2 or 3 days to recover. And that goes for position players as well. And this is something I'm taking these quotations from Scott Oberg. He's a reliever from the Colorado Rockies. Is a guy I throw with in the off season. And he said the same thing. He's like, we don't have the luxury of having, a couple bad rounds, say, we're going to come back and throw another bullpen, because again, there's only so many throws you can take. So the sooner you get into the habit of making every throw count, the better you're going to be, and the more efficient you're going to be with your throws, and the better muscular endurance you're going to have. That being said, when you're a position player, outfielder, catcher, second baseman, first baseman, third baseman, when you're having a catch, have a catch with a purpose, right? Always know you're going to be hitting the 12 inches between the sternum and the nose of your throwing partner. We don't want to be throwing balls to his knees, especially not during the initial throws in the warm-up. Now, if you're working breaking balls, you're working change-ups as a pitcher, then we'll do that. And then hopefully you have a throwing partner that can squat down and do a flat ground with you. But before that, we have to be able to execute every throw with a purpose. And my thing is, especially when I'm talking to the younger athletes, if we're in the 6th inning, right, and we're playing a 7-inning game, and we're in a championship, and if I can't trust that a ground ball being hit to you is not going to be thrown to the first baseman's chest, chances are I'm not going to have you playing shortstop, because don't be the guy we can't trust when the game's on the line to make a good throw. And, you know, and that comes from the outfield, hitting a cutoff man in the chest. That comes from being a cutoff man, hitting a catcher in the chest, giving him a good spot where he can protect himself and make the tag. It comes from being a left fielder, throwing to second base, second baseman picking a ground ball, throwing to first. So it's important to build good habits because muscles do have memory. So if you get in a habit of your first 10 throws, God only knows where it's going, chances are in the game, you're not going to be as sharp. But if you get in the habit of saying, okay, I have to release it in front of my nose to hit my throwing partner in the chest, then we're going to do that. And once again, the more efficient you become at it, the better you're going to become at it. Like anything else, the more you practice it, the better you become. But you have to practice right. Just because you're going out there throwing doesn't mean you're being efficient. Just like you know as well as I do, you know hitting better than I do. If you're going up there and hitting 50 ground balls back to the pitcher, oh man, I took 50 swings today, but they weren't quality. So you have a good chance of developing a bad habit. So the catch play is so important because that's where you're going to develop your habits by those repetitions. So if you do 75 throws, the first 3, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you have a game on Thursday, and if 60 of those 75 throws are bad, chances are when the game's on the line and you have pressure on yourself, your body's going to freeze up and not go where you want it to go because you don't have that neurological pattern to just turn off your brain and let it fly, you know, because you're going to be harping on the other bad throws. But yeah, so catch play is very important because we're limited to the amount of throws we can make in a day.
No, that's a very, very, very good point too. You know, we talk to our players as well about, you know, I learned a long time ago, and I coach it this way. You don't ever want to ruin a good play or better than that, a great play with a bad throw. You know, and it's so important because, you know, to complete it, you have to catch it and you have to throw it. And, you know, so the importance of playing catch is really, really good. I was also told a long time ago too, once you get loose, don't be afraid of playing some target catch. You know, have the guy move the glove around. You know, move the glove around. It's old school, but you know what? It works. You know, it's getting the visual in there as well. So that's a great point. Now let's get back where maybe it's a little bit more specific to pitchers, but it's kind of you kind of touched upon it with the fielders too, because basically what you were saying, get to the point where you have confidence that you can throw the ball from any angle, from any position on the field. Let's take that where it pertains to a pitcher. How important is it for a pitcher, especially we deal a lot, well, you deal obviously more with some older guys, minor leaguers, major leaguers, and things like that, but let's just stay in the travel ball realm right now. We're dealing with teenagers, high school kids for the most part, and they all love to throw their fastball, but try to get them throw a second pitch or a third pitch, and sometimes the wheels, it's a mind blow for them. How important is it to work on your stuff so you have confidence to throw all your pitches in any count?
Well, it's huge, right? You have to have confidence and have conviction every pitch. And once again, like you talked about earlier, don't be the guy that we can't trust to execute a pitch when we need it. Because once again, when the big game's on the line or the game, you're probably not going to be out there. And how you do anything is how you do everything is the way I talk to my pitchers. So if we're having catch play, okay, we're going to play the curveball game. We'll put that, especially for the younger guys, I mean, you know, freshmen, sophomores. I'll put your partner's hat about 15 feet in front of you, and you want to throw the curveball to hit that hat, right? And guys like, oh yeah, it's elementary. I had college when I was coaching in college. I've had college guys do that, and you know they're spiking the ball 10 feet before, and they're like, oh my God, I was like, yeah, it's a simple game, right? But again, it's being able to know where your hand has to be for that breaking ball to break, to know, okay, what's the visual point for the changeup? So like, and again, I'm sorry to be crude, but like what I tell some of the guys, you know, hit the catcher in the nuts, you know, and I'm sorry for the terminology, but with a changeup, you see that path from there because now you have a visual. Okay, that's where I want the ball to go, and look, now it goes to the back foot of the hitter. So you have that mind to muscle connection, the visual. So it's very important, and the more you know where that ball is going, the more confidence you're going to have, and the better you'll be able to execute that pitch. And it's one of those things that if a guy has a power fastball and a crappy curveball, I guarantee you 98% of his pitches he's going to throw in his bullpen or his side work is going to be fastballs because he's good at it. And it's very important, especially for the younger players. 12, 11, 10. Work on what you struggle with. I promise you, you'll become a better player because we know what you're good at. And of course, we're always going to work with what we're good at because we want to make that better. But the more we work on the things we struggle with, I promise you, the better of a player, the more rounded of a player you're going to be. So it goes back to piggybacking on the catch play. While you're warming up, as you're long tossing, let's say we're bringing it in. As we're bringing it in, let's start working our secondary pitches, right? And what I like to do is I like to have the guys, say you're at 60 feet, or even the guys that are at 46 feet, I'll have them throw change-ups at 52 feet so they can see the path, and then I'll have them throw a change-up at 45 feet, so they can feel, okay, I got to let it go a little earlier. I got to let it go a little later. And that gives them body awareness, especially for the younger athletes. Yeah. It's body awareness. One of the biggest things I found is some kids look uncoordinated or unathletic, but they don't have the functional fitness or the body awareness to execute those pivots, the hip awareness or their front leg stability, because they've never had to do that. And, so then what do? They adjust with the arm. And when you adjust the arm, it's more stress on the arm, more stress on the stabilizing joint, which is the elbow, unfortunately, if your lower half is not stabilizing properly. So the more you work on the secondary pitch, if your slider isn't as sharp as you want to be, work on it. Work on saying, okay, if I do this, and take mental notes saying, all right, I threw it. Don't just say, hey, I'm going to throw this curveball. Say, I'm going to throw this curveball at the catcher's left shoulder if you're right-handed, and see what it does. If it doesn't do what you want it to do, I'm going to throw it at his face mask. Okay, that one hung a little bit. Now I'm going to throw it at his belly button. Okay, that was a lot sharper there. And that's how you become better. It's don't just go up there and blindly throw the ball. And again, it comes down to catch play. Go up there with a purpose. All right, 0-2 slider. My best 0-2 slider is when I throw it to the catcher's shin pad. So then you have a visual, because the batter's never there. Mike, you and I, we've talked about that before. There's never a batter there because it's you executing your pitch. The batter, sometimes you make the perfect pitch. I've seen it with one of my MLB guys throw a 99-mile-an-hour fastball low and away and went 420 feet opposite field. You're like, man, that was a perfect pitch, but it was the pitch that he was looking for. It was his own. Sometimes you get beat. We looked at the video. There was nothing tipping. We just tipped our cap. Good job. But also, you as a pitcher have to know that this is what I need this ball to do. I have 2 strikes. I need to get this guy out. If I throw the ball here, not what he does. We can't control what he does. We can only control what we do. If I throw the ball here, the ball's going to go to his hands and break. If he swings, it's going to blow up in his hands. If he doesn't, strike 3. So it doesn't matter who's up there. So it's know yourself and know what you need to do to make that pitch do what you want it to do. And then the rest you cannot control.
Yeah. Yeah, and good points to that too as well. I think a lot of it, and this is not a knock by any means because people know me, that's not my style, but I think we get some of these kids now, we're caught up in a world right now. I think we're velo, is not only maybe the most important thing on their mind. Sometimes with some kids, it's the only thing. And I think somewhere along those lines, the art of pitching has kind of got lost or pushed in the background a little bit. And that's what you're talking about. Now, pitching is an art. You have to know how to get hitters out. That's your goal. You have to get hitters out. And, when you do that, like you said, location, changing up your pitches, high, low, in, out, Xing the plate, whatever you want to call it. People have different names. And it's so good to hear you talk about that. And I've seen you in action, and that's why I'm bringing this up, because you want to make a remark about that as well. I've seen how you work with the young kids, and you stress the importance of the art of pitching and not just throwing. Anything you want to say on that?
Yeah, please. And one of the things that I want people to understand, throwing is an ability. Pitching is a skill, right? And I explain this to a lot of people. Because you can hammer a nail doesn't mean you can build a house, right? And so just because you can throw hard or throw fast doesn't mean you can pitch. Because I'll tell you right now, and I've been fortunate enough to be around professional baseball, in spring training homes every year, and very, very fortunate. There's a lot of guys that can throw 98, right, in the minor leagues, and they're just going to, unfortunately, retire in the minor leagues, because there's guys that are, the new norm now is the mid-90s. but there's a lot of guys that don't have anything else. And unfortunately, the MLB hitters are waiting for those guys. Like, please send them up. Please send him up. I can't wait because I know he can't execute a curveball. I know he can't execute a changeup. And you might beat me once on a 96, 97, but if I know that's all you have, it's game on. And I'll tell us one story from Yunel Escobar. He was a shortstop with the Washington Nationals, played for the Angels. And there was a catcher. He was up to bat. And again, I'm sorry I'm going to ramble, but I feel like the young guys should hear this. He comes up to bat, and the guy was a fastball slider, plus fastball, okay slider. So the guy's going, the catcher's shaking off. He calls timeout. He tells the catcher, listen, I know you only have 2 pitches. I know he can only throw 1 for a strike. Stop playing games, and let's go. Next pitch, sat dead red, fastball, home run. And he told me, he's like, look, that was just, he's like, that was just a mental game that I played with him, but I knew the only pitch he could throw if he threw me a slider, I knew it was going to be a ball. He's like, so I honed in for the fastball, and I got it. But I knew if I saw a tight spin of a slider, I wasn't swinging because it wasn't a strike.
Yep.
And, he's an excellent hitter. So that's the level of hitting. So the higher you go up in baseball, the better the hitters are. And one of the things that I've interviewed some of the pro pitchers, they see that they've gone even from big time universities, like say West Virginia. They said there's guys that are going to swing at a ball 6 inches away from the plate. But then now you're a minor league ball where these guys 2 inches from the plate are taken because the discipline gets better and better and the scouting report gets better. So now if you can't throw a competitive off-speed pitch that looks like a strike, because the goal is, and this is something Scott Overy says, and if you look at his numbers, he's one of the best relievers in the MLB right now, is my job isn't to throw a breaking ball for a strike. My job is to throw a breaking ball to look like a strike, right? And that's a competitive pitch to draw a swing. I'm not trying to strike him out. I'm trying to get a ground ball out.
That's right.
And one thing what these guys don't understand is, okay, you have the high power velocity. You want to strike everybody out. But a ground ball is just as good. And you know as well as I do, when you're managing a game and you get a guy can get you 3 outs on 9, not even, say 8 pitches because ground ball. I'll take that all day because now I know I'm going to have him, especially in a tournament setting where I have, he has 2 days to recover, and I'm probably going to use him for an inning or 2 in a championship. But if he's throwing, 22 pitches an inning because he's trying to strike everybody out and he's trying to paint and do this and do that, man, let's get some ground balls. Get us a double play. But so it's important to be able to execute your pitches and perform the skill of pitching. Velocity will get you to the table, as they say, but being able to pitch is going to keep you there. And that's where a lot of these guys get lost. You see a lot of these high power velocity guys stay in the minor leagues, and then now 9 years later, they're still there. So it's a skill that guys unfortunately are distancing themselves from because they're chasing that velocity. There's a lot of running and gunning, as Lance Wheeler and I were talking about, but there's a lot being lost between the run and the gun, and because now you're losing out of pitches. Are you going up there as wilding as hard as you can, throwing as hard as you can? Like Greg Maddux said it great. He can throw low 90s, but he knew his money was in execution in the high 80s, because if he can throw you a pitch that's going to look like a strike and you're going to chase and then roll over on it, that's what's going to keep him in the game and keep him pitching at the highest level and make an amazing living doing it. So
that's good. That's good stuff too. And you touched upon a couple of things there, and it's not for this show, but you're talking about the hitters too. I believe we've fallen into a comfort zone as well, where we're developing a lot of swingers, but nobody that can hit. I think the loss of the art of hitting is starting to get pushed back in the back burners as well. And hopefully we find a way to combine the new modern technology and sabermetrics and all that stuff with some of the old school stuff, and start producing people that could produce at their highest potential. But that's another show talking about hitting. So
yeah. I was going to say, as far as with the data, one last thing with the data. And again, data is a tool, right? And we'll go back to the hammer. With a hammer, you can build a house, but with a hammer, you can also break your hand, right? And these people are getting so stuck on these analytics and getting false readings or getting the information but can't use the information in a way to make the pitcher better. Like I've seen it with the Rapsodo and say, all right, you need to get more horizontal spin on your ball. Great. How? And that's where the conversation ends. You know, so I'm like,
Absolutely
if you can't bring that data into the instruction, into the game, it's just data, you know.
Yep.
And then again, that data is not going to help you execute better. It's not going to help your batting average, right? One of the things I heard this, and again, this is the last thing I'll say about hitting, because that's you know a lot more about it, but don't make a 400 hitter into a 200 hitter because the data's numbers aren't what you want it to be.
Exactly,
you know?
right.
So,
No,
yeah.
I agree with you 100% on both the fronts as it pertains to pitching and to hitting. I see it ad nauseum sometimes, and all you can do is shake your head, because I'll never, impinge upon someone's ability to do what they want to do for a living. But, if someone asks me a direct question, I will give a direct answer on how I feel about some of those
And we
things.
appreciate
But,
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, let's move on to something different. I'm an old guy, right? So to me, when I grew up, you never lifted weights to play baseball. It was like forbidden, even if you were, if you go back, if you want to equate it to your high school years, I was a three sport athlete. So of course now I played football. What am I supposed to do? Lift weights. But I knew the sport that I loved the most was baseball. So now you've got that thing going in your head. Do I lift weights? Do I not lift weights? Now, moving forward to where we are today, over the last 10 years especially, weightlifting has become a very, very integral part of training, even pitchers. So where do you feel weight rooms, let's just use a general term, where is their place in baseball right now for you?
Well, for me right now, I think strength training is key to baseball, right? When I played as well, we weren't allowed to lift weights. Dave Swanson, who was a 9th round draft pick by the Mets, said they weren't even allowed to even like walk close to the weight room. They said, no, that's not what you're doing. But my place today with strength training is this. I explain it a lot of times, like let's say a basketball player, right? If you want to dunk a basketball vertically, you can jump every day, just jump, try to touch the net. And then you might gain a centimeter or 2 on your vertical. But if the moving parts, your springs, your legs, if you make those stronger, now you're really going to see some changes. So if you go do some some squats, some lunges, and get the hamstring, the quads, the calves stronger, which are the moving parts, you're going to be able to generate more ground force, and you're going to get closer to the rim. So for baseball, the one mistake I see a lot of programs do is they have baseball players lifting like football players. They understand, or like bodybuilders, right? That's for me, that's the only mistake and the one thing I would want people to avoid. But understand this: the stronger your scapula gets, the stronger your core gets, the stronger your hip abductors get, the more explosive you are, the better you're going to be able to swing the bat, the better you're going to be able to run base to base, the better you're going to be able to take that drop step and get 2 steps on the ball hit in the gap in the outfield, as opposed to freezing, turning, and then running. So the med ball slams, the rotational work is definitely going to help you swing the bat faster through the zone and whip your arm faster through the zone too. And the second thing is you also build muscular endurance as well. Your muscles get stronger for longer. Again, we're not trying to break records all the time in our lifts, because we also want to keep good range of motion as well too, because we have to change directions, and we're an explosive sport. Every play lasts like 2 seconds, but it's a fast play. That swing is fast. That run from home to first is fast. That ball in the gap or in the hole for the shortstop. So we've got to be able to explode and still have good range of motion to be able to backhand that ball and turn around and still throw. We don't want to become muscle bound, that when we backhand, our hips are blocking us from going around and throwing across. So I think that's where, when you start training like a bodybuilder and overload those legs and you lose that hip range of motion, then you can't swing as fast or as efficient, right? You can't get to the inside pitch because now you're hip blocking yourself because your hips are so tight. But for me, I think strength training is crucial, especially for the young athletes, because there's a correlation that goes with functional strength and coordination. The stronger those muscles are, the more body awareness you have to those muscles. For me, I tell you right now, I was probably one of the weakest guys until I got to college. And then when I got to college, I'm like, dude, everybody's lifting. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I wish I would have lifted. But then now that I'm fortunate enough to be around professional baseball players, I'm fortunate enough to be in professional MLB weight rooms. These guys lift a lot. And obviously every day they don't lift like bodybuilding, but the goal is to build strength in the off season and then maintain strength in the in season, and then try to build more strength next off season. You don't want to lift the same way you do in season as you did off season, because the one big thing is I don't want today's workout to affect tomorrow's performance. So if I have a game tomorrow, I don't want to be sore. I want to get the blood flow. I want to get those muscles, firing again, the body awareness, the strength, resistance to range of motion, but I don't want to be sore. So we're not going to go and try to break our shoulder press, bench press, or squat record the day before a game or the day before I have to pitch. But we still want to get those, that blood flowing in that area, keep those muscle fibers growing and get them strong. And the last thing I'll say on that is it's like a marathon runner, right? If you're only running 3 miles 3 times a week, and then the day of the marathon comes and you got to run 26, your body's going to break down that day of the marathon. So what we want to do is we want to keep priming those muscles little by little. So when our time to pitch comes, our legs have that muscular endurance of being able to explode over and over and then recover and then do it again for about, 100 pitches. So.
Yeah. Totally sensible. We use the phrase, with our guys, prepare your body for what it is you're about to put it through. And, you just did a good definition in describing exactly what that means. So let me move forward now. We've played our game. I played short, or in this case, maybe I pitched. Okay. Here's one of the things that I know is very difficult for me as a coach, and it's been difficult for me for a while. The cool down. It's difficult to get these kids to understand how important. You just can't walk off the field and that's the end of your day and see you later. Let's go eat, Dad. So can you talk about that a little bit? Where does that fall on your level of importance for arm care or aftercare of your arm care?
So I'll talk about as pitchers, right? It comes down to availability and being able to recover properly so you can throw. So what happens is when you're throwing, all that blood is rushing to your arm over and over and over. And something you don't think about is the angle that you're throwing on. So now you're going down here and you're releasing that ball here. So that blood is rushing to your hand. And with that blood comes some of the toxins, the lactic acid, something. So you're building cortisol in your arm. So, and you're also building a muscular imbalance because you're going forward. So now that pec minor is engaging. The pec minor is bringing that hand here. So we don't want that blood to stay there. So what I like to have the guys do is whether you perform 10 quick sprints to get the blood circulating through your whole body again, and then band pull aparts to turn on that scapula, right? To have that scapula and bring that posture back in so you get that good thoracic extension to let the subscapular muscles turn on. And what's going to happen is that's going to get some blood flowing in that area, which blood flow, supports recovery. So once we get blood flowing in that area to the shoulder, getting that blood out of the hand, getting everything flowing through the body, getting some of that lymphatic fluid. Lymphatic fluid is what causes inflammation. Getting some of that out of that area, you're going to have less inflammation as well too. Inflammation a lot of times is what causes pain in the joints and in the muscle belly, and so it's huge to do your post throw, whether it's with the 2-pound balls, the arm care balls, doing the upward toss. If you don't have anywhere to hook your band pull aparts with the actual bands. And when you get home, if you can foam roll a little bit and do some yoga push-ups, and I'm telling you that that's going to help the recovery, because what happens is last thing you want to do is have all that lymphatic fluid and then that lactic acid start build up in that area. And then you're going to get the onset muscle soreness. You're going to get the inflammation and the delayed recovery, which is what we don't want, because we go back to availability. Obviously, I don't want you to throw the second day after you threw 4 or 5 innings, but we have to be smart about our recovery as well too, so that it doesn't take 6 or 7 days to recover after throwing 4 or 5 innings. We want to be able to throw in 2 or 3 days, whether it just be a short toss or playing catch and playing the point game, being able to hit your spots at a low intensity to help promote your recovery as well. So yeah, so post throwing work, guys, it's very important. It's one of those things that's so overlooked, because you can have a bad outing and you just want to go crawl under a rock. But guess what? Tomorrow's another day, guys. So we have to have a short memory, and we got to be able to recover and throw tomorrow. So if we have a short outing where we only throw 1 inning and it did not go well for us, scratch that, prepare for tomorrow. And so when they call your number, you're available, because if you're not available, next guy up, and if he does better, it's not going to go well for you.
That's great. I know Ed has a couple questions for you now, Cesar, as well.
Yeah, I was going to jump in, and I kind of took some notes as we went along, and I love this one. Job security equals availability. That might have to be on a T-shirt with your picture underneath, just to put that out there. But so for the last 30 minutes or so, you've been talking a lot about the physical part of the game, preparation, how to warm up, the catch play, need to be confident, need to get in the weight room, do your cool downs when you're done. I know the other part of the game is important, and I know you talk to your players. I've heard you talking to them about the mental side. Can you go into some of the mental parts of the game for us?
So the mental part, you're absolutely correct. The mental part it's the biggest part, right? Because your body's an extension of your mind, right? Your body can't do anything without your brain telling it what to do. And you can have all the muscles in the world, and if your mental preparation and your mental stability or mental strength during tough times is weak, you're going to crumble. So we have to have a strong mind. And I myself personally think the strong mind and the confidence in competition comes in preparation, right? So you can fake it till you make it, but baseball's a cruel sport that you can only fake it for so long. And you can fake your preparation and then you can fake your preparation for 4 days, go into your game, and then get blown up because you can't execute your secondary pitch because you just work on what you're good at. So then that becomes false confidence. We want to be confident in every pitch we throw, right? If you can't throw a pitch with conviction, I might only call it twice a game just to show that you have it. But if I know you can throw your fastball, slider, curveball with conviction because you're mentally prepared to throw that pitch, mentally know I have to throw this pitch to the catcher's nose to get it to break to his belly button. I know with 2 strikes, I can execute the high fastball because this guy's been taught that low to high swing, and he's probably going to be waiting for a fastball. So I'm going to throw a fastball at his letters. Either he's going to pop it up to me, or he's going to completely miss it by 2 feet because he's swinging straight down, because that's the sexy thing now. So, and the mental part of it, that comes from the catch play as well, is the preparation aspect of it. So if I know when I'm having a catch with my partner and we're playing quick game to 15, we might miss 3 or 4 times, but if I know I've got to execute, hit him in the chest, and the more I do that, the more confident I'm going to be throwing. I'm going to be able to, more confident I'm going to be in being able to execute that throw. And the same thing with your slide and your curveball. So you have to mentally be prepared. And then once again, the mental confidence and the mental strength comes from the preparation, everything leading to the game. I tell the guys that train with me, and even the guys, I've been fortunate enough to be with you guys for a couple winters now, is the game is your gift, right? Your preparation, the hard time in the weight room, the time with me trying to hit the cone, trying to hit your spot with the catcher, being able to execute up the mound, down the mound, that's the hard part. So that when the game comes, you can turn off your brain and just execute your pitches. And I'm telling you, baseball's cruel in a sense that you're not always gonna win. Things aren't always gonna go your way. But what is they say, chance favors the prepared,
It favors the prepared, exactly.
right? And if you prepare yourself to execute those pitches, you're going to be very confident. And again, it comes down to that strong mind, strong body. And the strong mind comes with preparation.
Absolutely. So, I mean, now we've been talking also about primarily the pitcher or position players, but one guy on the field. How do we, what's the best way, or how can you bring out of a kid that there's 8 other people on the field? You know, I mean, how does that react, right? Baseball is we've heard other coaches say baseball is a game of pitcher versus hitter, pitcher versus hitter, pitcher versus hitter, a bunch of games and games, but there's a whole group around you, right? So how do we get that teammate idea out of the players?
So it comes down to building trust, right? If I've read this, I think it's Coach Lau that said this. If your best player is a bad teammate, then he's not really your best player, because now he's going to go and say, hey, you did that ball, you should have caught it, you know. And then when he hits the ball, he wants to fight anybody that says anything to him. So once again, it's holding yourself accountable so that you lead by example, right? I'll never yell at a kid, or I don't have the, how do you say, the demeanor to really yell, but I'm not going to be tough on a kid without holding myself to higher standards as well too. So my thing is this: be accountable for your actions, right? Take every ground ball serious. Take every ground ball with conviction. All your T-work drill, all that stuff serious. So when you tell a guy, look, man, that was a bad pitch you chased, or what were you thinking there? They're going to have respect for you because they're going to see how hard you work, right? So it's easier to have, I wouldn't even say criticize, but to have the conversation about an error you made when the guy next to you is working as hard or harder than you. Because now it's not like, oh, well, you're not as good as me, or you're not working as hard. Well, you would have made that error too. We all make errors. That's baseball. Baseball's a difficult game. But when your preparation isn't taken serious, and then game time comes and you cost us the game, because when we're taking ground balls, you're trying to backhand, balls hit in front of you, and you're like joking around and missing the first baseman by 15 feet, and all you can say is something you heard on Instagram because it was funny. So it's that lack of attention to detail. So once you start taking the ground ball serious, you start taking the T-work serious, you start taking, and then other guys are going to take advice or criticism for you. I hate to use the word criticism, but English is my second language, so I can't think of a better word for it. But just telling the guy, hey, listen, you could have took a better angle to that ball, as opposed to like, oh, well, what do you know? You know, but then when they see that you're working as hard as everybody else, it comes down to being a good teammate is leading by example and paying attention to detail in the small stuff. And once you do that, during the tee, you're working away. You're seeing guys actually working away as opposed to turning around, hey, yeah, taking a swing. Oh, yeah, taking a swing. And I'm like, dude, you just hit 15 ground balls in a row. Okay, next station. So it comes down to having respect for the drills, having respect for your coach's instruction, having respect for the pitcher on the mound, having respect for the catcher who's back there. As a pitcher, if you cannot throw strikes, if the catcher has to consistently block balls in the dirt, jump balls, catch ball over his hair, over his head, guys are stealing bases on you because you can't hold a runner. Like that's all part of being a good teammate, right? Because now the catcher has to work 5 to 10 times as hard because you're not taking your catch play serious, your secondary pitch execution drills serious. So now the catcher has to work hard. He's going to have bruises on his biceps, on his thighs, and this and that because you didn't take your job serious. Or vice versa. The catcher's not taking his blocking drill serious. And then now, game's on the line, runner on third, 0-2, you want to spike that curveball. You spike it, and the catcher gets out of the way because he doesn't want to block it because he doesn't know what he's doing. Now we lose the game, and it's on you because you spike that ball as a pitcher. You know, and it's all comes down to the preparation and the practice, and that all goes into being a good teammate. It's not just as much as cheering your teammates on, because it's easy to cheer when you're winning, but it's when you're not doing that well, and you can pick your teammate up and say, listen, dude, I know you didn't want to make that error, man. It's done. Next game, don't worry about it. I know you're going to bounce back. And if they see you take your preparation serious, they see you working hard on your secondary pitches, and even your BP working on hitting behind a runner, hitting on sack flies, they see that kind of stuff. That all that goes into being a good teammate. So it's about respecting the game, respecting the preparation for the game, respecting the instruction of the coach, respecting your teammate by working hard on the drills, on the skill building drills. So that all goes in. I'm sorry I rambled on longer than I wanted to, but it's a lot that goes into being a good teammate, and that's huge. And I promise you, if you're a good teammate, when you go through the college recruiting process, it's going to help you out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There's no doubt about that, Cesar. It's a good point. You know, we've shared with our players a lot, and I hear it from the scouts when I speak with them. You know, in most cases, at least a lot of cases, they'd rather have a player that makes a team great than a great player. And it's another way being. I think the term you were looking for before was constructive criticism.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Through constructive criticism, that's another way to impact a game. You always have to find ways to impact the game. Your throwing's not always going to be on. Your hitting's not always going to be on. Your fielding might be off that day. But you could go up and pat a guy in the back because he just muffed the ground ball. And then say, hey, look, dude, you're going to have a big at bat coming up. I could feel it. Be ready. Forget about that play. And you know what? He comes up and gets a game winner. That's impacting a game in a psychological way. So, you know, it all comes together. It's all about teamwork. And, you know, I know it's what you guys preach, and it's what we preach about, you know, all for one, one for all type scenario.
Right.
So, you know, that was great. You know, Cesar, we spent a lot of time here. It went so quick. You know, I'm looking up there and we're going on like 45 minutes, you know. So I'm going to say what I said early on, and then we'll close the show out, but I'll give you an opportunity, you know, to speak one more time. It never gets old listening to you speak about this stuff, because there is so much more to throwing, sometimes more specifically pitching, but it all comes down to arm care. You know, prehab, rehab, you know, like you said, workouts in the off season, workouts in season. There's so much to it that there's a lot to learn. And the more you learn, the better you're going to be. It's that simple. You've really shown me pitching in a different light, and I've been around this game a long time. You know, so it's really exciting to hear you speak about pitching and arm care. I know the people out there, I always say this big if there are kids out there watching this show, and they have been watching, if they paid attention, they've learned a lot of great stuff here. And I want to thank you. Thank you for coming on. It's just phenomenal to listen to you talk about it. So with that being said, before we cut it off for tonight, we usually ask people in this subject, in this, this portion of the show, if that's what you want to call it. Is there something we missed, something we didn't talk about, or if they're a scout, you know, something about your school, your program? I'm going to not leave it so broad for you. I think you probably got the attention of a lot of people, at least curiosity of it.
Thank you.
How can people, there's two things. I know because you care about this stuff and you know the importance, you really push, you know, throwing kits, you know, the plyos, the bands, and all that kind of stuff. And I know you put together really good, through your contacts and whatnot, you put good packages and you make together for these types of equipment so that kids can work on their own. And you get them out there at good pricing for the kids so everyone can afford to have it and do the right thing for their arms. I know you have something going on right now. I would like for you to share that with the people. Let them know how they can get that from you if they want to. And if you want, you can put out there, you know, you give lessons, you know, you're great. You're second to none when it comes to that kind of stuff. And put that out there too, dude. I just think it's a perfect way to end this show with all this information that you've given. So if you're comfortable with that, go ahead and spiel away.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I appreciate the kind words, Mike. Thank you very much.
You're awesome, dude.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a complete game arm care package that I put together. It's a 2-pound and 1-pound plyo ball. It's not like the traditional plyo balls that you have 5 different balls, because I really want to limit the throwing forward for the boys with the plyo balls. We're gonna do enough throwing forward with a baseball, right? So I purposely made the 1 pound ball bigger, almost like the size of a softball, as opposed to the traditional plyo ball that's here. Because what I don't want the 12, 11, 10-year-old boys or girls to go out and long toss with this ball, because I've seen it happen. I don't want them running and throwing these balls as hard as they can. I want them working on body awareness. I want them understanding where their arm is when they're throwing that ball backwards, when they're doing an upward toss, or when they're doing that subtle throw forward. So that being said, I have an arm care package put together with bands and 2 plyo balls that come with it. We're putting together videos. I'll send you some video links as well for exercises to do with them, stuff that you can do at home. And with my bands, they come with a door wedge that you can put it where the door hinge is. Therefore, you don't have to drill any holes or put any eye hooks into your studs or anything in your house. You can literally do them anywhere in your home. They come with a pole strap as well, so you can strap them to a post. There's not going to be any drilling or any of that stuff on the rainy days, so you really have no excuse not to do them. So it's what I'm trying to tell the guys when you get those bands. So we have that available. You can email me at cgarcia16@gmail.com, or find me on Facebook or Instagram under Cesar_G_baseball. I also recently started an Instagram page called Youth Pitching 101, because I want to focus on the younger demographic, because it's being lost. And a lot of the stuff that's being posted on social media is, 19, 20, 16, 17-year-old guys running and throwing as hard as they can. But that right now, that isn't where a 10 or 11-year-old is or need to be. And unfortunately, a lot of these guys are going to emulate what they see on TV, because like, wow, this guy's throwing 103. It's a 3-ounce baseball. It's not a 5-ounce baseball. But they see that, so they assume if they do that, they're going to do that as well. So I went with that name so that it's an information guide. I'm going to place it as an information guide for young players and parents, so they know what to do for the younger guys. Because what I'm going to do for a 16-year-old or 17-year-old or even 15-year-old is not going to be what I'm going to do for a 12, 13, or 10-year-old, because they're completely different bodies, different muscular density. So that's one of the reasons why I'm going a little bit more aggressive and grabbing the bull by the horns and putting together my program, because I think a lot of the younger boys are being, it's easier to just have them do what everybody else does. I want to do something specific for them. So as far as training, I train out of Endurance Sports Academy in Berlin. We're right off of Cooper Road. Same thing, just email me and we can set something up if you want to get in there once this craziness is done and we're allowed to be around people. And even if you come in for an assessment, anything I can do to help, send me an email, send me videos, or DM me. Anything I can do to help, especially the NJB guys. Any questions you have, even if you don't get a kit, say, hey, listen, my son is this old. What can I do? You can email Mike directly and get my cell phone number from him if that's something you want to do. And again, for any of the NJ baseball guys, if you have a question, parent, just call me and I'll do my best to answer. It's not going to cost you anything. Just ask. I appreciate you guys letting me work with your players, and I appreciate you guys coming to Endurance. So if anything we can do to help you guys, I will. So again, thank you guys for your time too.
Well, we appreciate that offer. And people, if you're listening out there, hopefully you are. If you're watching, hopefully you're listening. Take a shot with Cesar. You won't be disappointed. He delivers, and he delivers in a safe manner, and that's important nowadays. So with that being said, Cesar, thank you again, dude. It was awesome to have you on. We really appreciate it. And I will see you out in the ball field somewhere. I know that, and I know we'll be talking somehow, some way. We always find a way to need to get in touch with each other. So thank you again, and be well, and a happy belated birthday. And
thank you very much.
We'll see you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the time. I appreciate it, guys, and stay safe and stay healthy.
Thanks, Cesar. The story you shared with us showcased your love and understanding of the game and what's needed to properly prepare your mind and body. We wish you luck as you launch Youth Pitching 101 on Instagram as a resource that younger pitchers can use to learn the right things to do from the beginning. Join us next time when Dr. Brian Sikowski from Jersey Sports Medicine will speak to us about the most common non-contact injury in youth baseball. Until then, for Mike LaHood, I'm Ed Kyle, and we're Taking Hacks with New Jersey Baseball.